That is the most superior of all of our intro songs right there. I really do enjoy that one. Here at the top left-hand corner of the map, we have our yellow Terran player from Alternate Attacks. It is Cloud, and he's trying to tie things up against his opponent's team. FX Open Esports, their representative, is down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. It's our blue Protoss player, Tear.
Yeah, and I realized while we were casting last game, I did say Choya a couple times still. I wish we could just like edit the field of player names and just display whatever we want. That would be so nice. I mean, obviously we have the scoreboard at the top, which helps because that's where I actually am trying to train myself to look now after saying Choya a couple of times. Either way, Alternate Cloud is going to be coming in. He's actually the only Italian player that I could ever think of. I believe Star Eagle is also Italian, but Cloud is the go-to answer for that one. For who's the best player in Italy.
Nani was originally from Italy, right, and then lived in Sweden for a really long period of time.
I think Naniwa is Italian.
Yeah,
but he lived in Sweden when StarCraft 2 came out.
And so he represents Sweden in competitions and stuff like that. But
so I still consider him to be Swedish. But either way, Star Eagle is pretty good. I believe Cloud and Star Eagle actually had to battle it out for WCS Italy, and I think Star Eagle actually won that. I'm not 100% sure, but either way. All Cloud has to do now is just beat most of FXO and not have to worry about being the best in Italy.
Easy.
Yeah.
You know, FXO rating GSTL team and all that, but whatever. Tear now sending out his first scout, and things are looking pretty normal for both of our players. It's a command center first for Cloud at the moment, and I'm sure this is going to prevent Tear from mining too much gas unless he wants to make an early attack here. He is starting to mine some gas now. A lot of Protoss players will actually pull off at this point, and it looks like that's exactly what he's going to do because he wants to put down his Nexus as fast as possible.
You are the probe whisperer.
Yes.
You knew that was going to happen. You communicated it, and it was done. That was crazy. Either way, this probe is actually going to try and kill an SCV. He's going to try and murder a poor biological mechanical unit. He's not going to be successful as he tries to move out. Notice probes are not biological. They're just pure machine.
Yes.
They do not think or feel or bleed. They're just...
That's sad. I feel bad for probes now.
I wonder if probes actually have to follow the laws of robotics, or because they're aliens, if they have to actually obey that or not.
I imagine they do, although he was clearly harming a human right there, so...
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess the laws of robotics don't say that they cannot harm Protoss, species. It's just humans in the laws of robotics, so I guess they don't really have to obey at all.
All right, well... Probu getting a good look at what's going on at the moment. Double barracks followed up for Cloud here. And back on Tear side of things, of course, he did cut gas so he could put up that Nexus as fast as possible. He's successfully done so. So he's back to mining gas and back to producing a cybernetic score.
All right, so Cloud, one thing I do remember about his play is that he is pretty fond of Hellion play, whether it's against Zerg or Protoss. I have seen him actually kill a lot of probes in the past with Hellions. Of course, Protoss do have the ability to make sentries, and that kind of limits Hellion's effectiveness, but every once in a while you can sneak them in and do quite a lot of damage. I'm curious if Cloud is going to be reaching for that sort of build this time around, though. He still has no gas income, so it looks like just mineral only, lots of barracks pressure to get things started. After that wraps up, though, I'm sure we'll see a couple of refineries in the next few minutes, possibly a move toward MMM as well.
I don't think he's going to be too surprised to see exactly what he's seen out of Tear side of things. And Cloud is running back with the SCV. Unfortunately, it's getting hunted down, and it's going to die. Bye-bye.
Oh,
sad.
More sad than a probe dying.
That's true. Not as sad, though, as the probes that were lined up for execution the other night that we saw underneath the cannon on Daybreak.
Yeah, he had queued up his own probes for elimination. That was just sad. I remember we had like a moment of silence and everything, but Command Center coming up now for Cloud, that's going to put him up to 3, but Tear actually beat him to it. Getting that Nexus dropped, he's actually already in position to begin mining once it's completed, so Cloud obviously will have a little bit of travel time. He's still, just now adding on those refineries, so still has no additional tech beyond those barracks.
Doesn't look like this was the planned gateway nexus into huge gateways, but he could still turn it into that if he wants to. Depending on the gas he takes, he could also decide to move into a pretty what do I say, defensive, turtley tech build for a while too. Cloud is going to push these stalkers away. Tyr just trying to get a couple of additional hits, and he does manage to actually pick off one. It's going to be 2 Marines here in a second if he catches up to the hurt one.
There's 2 without catching up to the hurt one. It's hard. It's hard to battle stalkers as Marines. Your movement speed is just a little bit too slow. Obviously, getting all the hurt ones into the bunker is a wise move there for Cloud. He's going to actually toss up another bunker as well because he's not sure what Tyr's up to. He doesn't know for sure. He hasn't been over there in a while. Twilight Council's coming up now for Tyr, so he could actually be going for a pretty heavy Blink Stalker play. He does still have that option of DTs as well, although he doesn't really have enough gas at the moment. It's not totally ruled out.
Cloud does have double engineering base to start prioritizing those upgrades. Of course, no factory on the way. He's going to get those in place before he starts moving over to Medivacs. A lot of Terran players have actually been favoring that. Just a stronger brute force at the beginning of the game, both to ward off early pressure and to put on a bit of pressure themselves. Total of 5 gates on the field. Looks like he's saving up for a bit more here. No Forge, though, so this is going to be large Blink Stalker play, but not a lot of upgraded Blink Stalkers.
Yep, 6-gate Blink Stalker looks like is going to be the order of the day for Tyr. He only has 3 Stalkers out on the field right now, in addition to 1 sentry that's trying to watch the ship back at home, making sure no Marines just barge their way in. He's got 3 sentries now to be able to defend. Blink is obviously going to be a huge factor here. Makes me wonder why he hasn't added a robotics facility yet. Obviously, having an observer overhead is a huge part. It's a key part to this attack strategy. Just getting vision up into an opponent's main can be a world of difference when you're actually attacking in. And actually, he's going to be up to 8 gateways now for this Blink attack that he's got planned.
Yes, he is. And Income to back that up as well. Already on 60 probes and continuing to produce those. So his economy is actually going to be pretty ridiculous. Of course, he is sacrificing a bit of tech to get this done. You mentioned already there's no robotics facility out there. He's got to flip all of his gateways into warp gates here in just a second. And looks like he's checking around for any sort of hidden bases or tech. But of course, he's going to be behind a robotics facility. He's going to be behind on brute upgrades. One is going to finish very soon for Cloud. So even though he could get in there and do some damage, he probably needs to inflict economic damage at the very least, not just unit damage.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, both players are giving each other a lot of time to kind of get the build that they want. Cloud is actually reaching the middle of the screen with all of his upgrades and production tab. Multiple add-ons all coming at once. Armory coming up, Starport coming up. It looks like MMM is just going to be his mission at this point. Once the Starport is done, probably going to be flipping it onto the reactor, maybe even using that factory to scout around, since I don't really see him, getting any upgrades for those at the moment. He did finally chase those 3 Stalkers away from his natural and gives him a chance to try and take that 3rd base, but Tyr's been on his 3rd base for quite a while now, and he is actually going to get a pretty massive Stalker count going here soon.
And finally taking these 5th and 6th gases. I wonder if he's going to plan on expanding here in a second or just sit on 3 bases and try and move forward. He does have a lot of mobile units on the map, but again, still very, very far behind in tech. No robotics facility yet, no Templar tech. He does have charge lots on the way, but no way to supplement those with the AoE from charge lots, or from Templar, I'm sorry.
Yeah, from Templar or Archons, so he really is just trying to bank it all on these Tier 1 units. He can obviously make a lot of them, which is very useful, so with 8 gates, he'll be able to warp in just a ton of stuff at once. Cloud is actually using his factory to scout around in the top right of Tyr's army, and it's going to get powered down pretty quickly, though. No chance of being repaired or anything like that. Did he see Blink? I'm pretty sure he blinks under the, yes. Yeah, so revealing that little bit of information, he can see that there's no Tier 3 units or anything walking around, no Colossi, no Archons out just yet. With the Templar Archive, though, obviously Tyr has a chance to just warp in High Templar on the spot, start making in some Archons, but for the time being, just a lot of Stalkers and Sentries, a handful of Zealots as well for Tyr.
Good old-fashioned no rush 15 here, as players are getting everything in place and ready for the late game. We do actually have a couple of Templar immediately being turned into Archons. No Storm being researched quite yet. Already, though, of course, Cloud is preparing for pretty much everything. He's got Vikings. He's got +1 for his air units coming out as well, although that he's producing Vikings means he doesn't know that there's a complete absence of robotics facility tech on the map.
All right, good blink there to take out one of those medevacs very quickly. 4 more gates being added on for Tyr. He does not even have a 4th base, so he's just going to try and slam out some units. Zealots can be pretty affordable after starting a big engagement. You can just make as many Zealots as you're able to afford. That way you're never going to be limited by the number of gateways, just the amount of resources that you have. And Cloud, on the other side, really just has a lot of MMM. Still kind of light on the medevac side of things, though.
And Mobius Reactor's far enough along that he should be able to start moving into a pretty good ghost count here, but he actually doesn't have any on the map yet, and that could be quite a problem because this is a pretty staggering force that's running out now for Tyr, and he's just going to bull rush his way into this army. Charge finally going off as he closes with a lot of the units. The AoE from the Archons is not really getting in there and doing all that much, and he's eventually going to need to break down his own force fields here in a second, and now he finally does.
All right, the Archons were actually absorbing a lot of damage. If nothing else, they really didn't have a great attack angle there. Cloud's forces are actually pushed back by all those force fields. The sentries are more or less drained of energy at this point, so really the Stalkers and Zealots are going to be the last remaining units. Cloud actually defending pretty well here, actually pulling ahead in supply. Tyr might not have enough to actually continue this EMP coming down from the Ghost as it comes out of that barracks. There's another Ghost on the field, another EMP lands on the Zealots, and Cloud really can be able to reinforce this with his barracks. It looks like he should be good to go here.
Yeah, but now more Blink Stalkers are coming in from Tyr, and he's just going to continue powering this forward. We'll see if this does enough damage for him with medvacs overhead. It makes these bioforces so much beefier, and they are actually going to rally this back. Tyr has to retreat, or at least he's pulling back to another big warp in.
Yeah, Cloud obviously doesn't want to chase out too far. Got to give himself some time to heal up with those medevacs. He also has obviously multiple Marines and Marauders and Ghosts coming out. The Ghosts are going to be really important to try and get into position quickly, and Tyr is actually going to fake like he's attacking in the third. No, he's actually going to send a couple of Zealots in there to try and hack down these SCVs. Cloud really doesn't want to run these past the Stalkers and Archons, so if he can power down the Archons pretty quickly, the SCVs could have a little bit of a safer route. It looks like they're actually going to join in on attacking. No, they're actually just sitting still and getting killed by Stalkers at this point. Cloud, this is actually looking worse and worse. That big reinforcement of Stalkers during the first battle looks like it may have just changed the course of the game here.
This has been a big continuous attack, though, and finally, like I mentioned, you know, Tyr really wanted to do economic damage, because if he didn't, Cloud with his superior tech would be able to just kind of keep moving forward. But as it stands now, he has done the economic damage that he's looking for. His opponent's down to just 49 workers. Of course, take the difference in workers out, and you do actually have a superior army in place for Cloud, but he has no way to assault this now. 4th base that's up for Tyr. He needs to take his own 4th base, and it looks like he's trying to do that possibly, but he just needs to rally back at home.
Right, he needs to be able to hang on somehow. Ghost EMP is going to be a big part of that. There's an EMP landed on this couple of sentries, but did not hit the Archon, so the Archon still going to be able to tank quite a lot of damage from the Marines and Marauders. Good feedbacks actually earlier on from Tyr prevented the medevacs from being able to heal up anything, and that is obviously a big part of Cloud's strategy, is being able to heal up after a stim, after battles, things like that. Mules coming down, Tyr actually probably could just crush into the third now and be able to destroy it for good, but Cloud pushing out. EMP dropped on pretty much everything. A lot of those Zealots hit for sure. 4 medevacs overhead, no feedbacks on those yet, so they are still going to be able to heal up. Cloud trying to keep his 3rd base safe. It looks like he will be successful, and more Marines coming out all the time, warding Tyr back even further.
Now, he is still down by about 40 workers at the moment as Tyr tries to be able to support this many gateways, and there are a lot on the map now, 12 of them it looks like, along with moving into robotics facility production. Immortals are coming up. More Protoss players have been favoring Immortals lately, just to include in unit composition. They are so good against Marauders and can buffer quite a bit of damage.
All right, Cloud scanning ahead, realizes there's no forces there at the tower. You don't want to press in there to that smoke screen and actually find yourself a ton of Archons or something like that. So good move by Cloud before advancing forward. Takes out that forward pylon, and now he's headed over to the 3rd base of Tyr, which has been mining successfully without interruption for a very long time. Cloud's still 32 Marines, 9 Ghosts, actually going to be a huge difference as this game continues on, as only 1 Immortal, only 1 sort of advanced tech unit at all from Tyr out on the field at the moment. Psystorm is going to be done in just a moment, though, and I have a feeling that's going to have a huge role. He made those Templar a long time ago, so they should have a couple of storms each. And wow, drops 2 right on top of each other. Not going to be super effective. There we go, hitting a lot of Marines and killing them off. Tyr should be able to ward this this off very easily.
And Cloud not pulling in the rest of his forces right now. They're sitting at the back, and he's getting taken apart a little bit piecemeal here. I think he actually had an opportunity, but he wasn't able to gather everything up into the same place. Another Archon is being formed at the moment. The first one goes down. EMP is continuing to hit these forces, and it's just the Archon remaining. So now Cloud may have the potential to move in and do some damage, but a big Warpin's coming in through the front.
Yep, when you have 12 gateways and lots of minerals, as Tyr does, obviously these Zealots are nothing to undervalue or underestimate. Cloud does actually pack up in his medevac and heads back out. Man, that was a huge exchange of giant battles outside of either player's base. No bases were actually totally destroyed there, and I think Tyr actually still came out of that with an economic lead.
Yeah.
I don't believe Cloud killed too many workers as he pressed into the third there, just the army.
He killed 8 additional workers, so
not even close to the 33 or whatever it was.
No, he's lost 49 total, but he has been able to recover a bit economically, and he's going to take this 4th base in the middle. Now, of course, unfortunately for him, his opponent is actually taking a 5th, and I like the way Tyr's configuring these, taking the bottom of the map. Now, of course, this is where the problem comes in if Cloud just decides to gun it for these extra bases.
Yeah, he's going to want to try and shut down any extra mining actually that Tyr could have going on. He's trying to set up a base at his own middle of the map. We have a couple of feedbacks dropping on Ghosts and Medevacs. Lots of Zealots still in there, so Cloud, if he's going to get out of here, he will actually have to pack up in the Medevacs. I don't see him actually being able to fight his way out of this with this many charge lots still on the field.
Oh, I wish he could have grabbed at least a couple of those Immortals on the way out, but he can't so far, and he's going to lose 1, maybe 2 Medevacs, and one so low, 15 hit points, and it does finally fall. Another one going to go down from the side too. No, actually a couple different ones being targeted out. Cloud, though, has to drop his forces down. He'll take out a couple of Stalkers here, but this is not the outcome that he wanted.
Yeah, more reinforcements coming in for Cloud. Both players with still a lot of forces standing. This is the closest game that we've seen yet in this series. More feedbacks going down on the medevacs. You can see them kind of actually getting a little bit scattered at this point. Battles happening across a long range here. We've got more Templar coming in. Actually, Cloud GG's. I'm not really as certain about that one as I was of the other few big battles. Yeah. Cloud wasn't. I mean, obviously he lost a lot of workers. His economy really is probably the main determinant of what made him leave that game. Tyr had a lot of working still going on. He had a lot of mining.
He was on 5 bases too.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
so
I will.
He didn't have a lot of standing units, but he had huge potential energy.
Yeah,
there.
I have to agree. I mean, Cloud was behind in that game. Yes, he made the right decision. I mean, maybe not leaving at that exact moment or whatever the case is. I think it would have been very stacked against him to try and mount some sort of a defense to make his way back into it. So Cloud is out, unfortunately, and the next player coming in is going to be Zaka. So we are going to have a PvP now between Zaka and Tyr. We'll see which player is going to come out victorious, though. Zaka has to start bringing things back for aTn. We'll see if he can do it after this commercial break.